I wasn't expecting to do it. And there was a moment when I thought, do you know what? As the team leader, if I do this one, they're all going to have to do the next one I asked them to do.
Welcome back to Connected Thinking, our series of chats with stand-up voices from the world of marketing, where we unpack what's trending, what's shifting, and look forward to what's coming next. I'm JR, your host, and I'm a senior account director at Scene Connects. And today I'm joined by the wonderful Kelly Shaw, who is a marketing leader with over a decade of experience in the food and drink industry. Over that time, she has specialized in driving growth for founder-led businesses. And in her current role as head of marketing at PerfectTed, she leads the marketing team, helping to establish it as the UK's fastest growing energy drink and hot beverages brand. Previously, you've held roles at the UK's largest organic food and beverage companies, leading marketing for Biona, Amisa, Bonsan, Profusion, and even Raw Vibrant Living. So welcome, Kelly. What a bio. You've clearly done quite a lot of different things over your time. But I do feel like there's one thing missing from your bio, and that's that you're now TikTok's favorite Sabrina Carpenter lookalike.
You know what? I wasn't expecting to put that on my CV, but now I definitely am.
You definitely should. I mean, it's pretty iconic. To be honest, you did for me. When I saw it, I was like, wow, this is incredible for PerfectTed. But for those that don't know, Kelly actually staged a Sabrina Carpenter sighting to promote their new matcha. How did the idea form? What were the results like? Let's get into it.
You know what? It was pretty wild. But firstly, thank you for inviting me. It's a pretty cool opportunity. It's cool hearing you read back on it's weird when someone else is describing you to you. But I guess what I would say first up is it always looks retrospectively a lot more of a smoother journey than it is. So I'm really happy, to be here.
Yeah.
But in terms of Sabrina, so this was part of our launch campaign for our new blueberry matcha latte. So this is one of the powders that we produce. It's going into Tesco's. We were running a campaign which was focused on social media. And we really, within the team, I've tried to ingrain a mentality of earn first thinking. And it's all about how do we do things that get people talking, that we don't necessarily need to pay for, but it gets people talking and then we might amplify it. So what better way than to tap into culture? And we knew that Sabrina Carpenter was going to be in town. We had a chat with the team, with some of our partners, and we thought, okay, it would be pretty cool if we could do a stunt here. And I won't lie to you, the idea wasn't mine. It was an idea that came from someone in our team and a partner of ours called James Ray that we were working with. And we decided, okay, let's stage a stunt where she's seen drinking PerfectTed. And originally we thought, okay, maybe we'll wait outside her hotel that she's staying in. We'll come out dressed as her, we'll get fake paparazzi. And then we thought actually maybe that might be a bit invasive. So we decided instead, let's go to Waitrose, which stocks our matcha latte cans. Let's dress up as Sabrina. We'll take our operations manager, Andre, who we could maybe pass as her security guard. We'll go in and we'll take some products off the shelf and we'll film it. I wasn't expecting to do it. And there was a moment when I thought, do you know what? As the team leader, if I do this one, they're all going to have to do the next one I asked them to do. So I said, okay, I'll do it. So I dressed up. We had a great wig, great outfit, borrowed some cowboy boots from our brand manager, went into Waitrose for about half an hour. We were filming me and Andre go to the shelf. The funny thing is I got ID'd at the checkouts and I didn't have my ID on me, so I couldn't actually buy our products. But thankfully we brought some with us. So we filmed it all. And then our marketing manager, Gemma, posted on her TikTok, like a personal TikTok, oh my God, I've just seen Sabrina Carpenter and Waitrose buying a PerfectTed. And then we had our affiliate community comment on it just to get it going in the algorithm. And before we knew it, it had 1 million views. Woke up the next morning, 1.5 million views on that single post. And then we quite quickly came out and said, look, we got you. This wasn't Sabrina, this was us. And that was some advice that I actually got from Emily Churchill, who's the head of marketing at Nice Wine, is you want to fool them, but you don't want to fool them forever. Like ultimately come out and reveal that it was you, and that will then give it a second wind.
Yeah.
So we managed to generate 2 million views on social. It's our highest performing post to date. And just to give you a bit of a point of comparison, that is a similar level of views that you could get in 1 week of an out of home campaign. And people loved it. So it didn't cost a thing, just my time and Andre's time for half an hour. So yeah, I'm really
I
happy with
love
how
that.
it went.
Yeah, I mean, you should be. That's such an incredible. I mean, first of all, to even come up with the idea, and obviously there have been other sort of similar stunts like that before, but to catch, I imagine the Sabrina Carpenter hype was huge when you did it because obviously she was in town, she was doing BST, like it was just perfectly crafted to get you the results that you wanted. I was very fooled. Thought it was amazing, and then when you brought us all back into the joke or the stunt, it was like, wow, what an incredible way of thinking about things. I think we can get so caught up in the industry that we have to spend loads of money or that we have to, put loads of strategic thought and data-led insights into stuff. But actually, some of the best ideas that create the best results are really simple and, community-led as well. Because I do feel like with that, you're also bringing your community in on the joke when you kind of, do that second win when you're like, got ya. It does really build a bit of a community. And I think that's really important for brands. I know that PerfectTed do that really well. And we're going to jump into a bit more about that. But I want to touch on this earned media, earned first perspective that you talk about, because I know that you talk about this a lot and you spoke at Manfest about this as well. It sounds like your ethos is really about getting the most amount of results and the biggest impact with the lowest spend. What do you feel drove you to that sort of way of thinking? How can brands really win without spending huge amounts of money?
Earn first thinking is definitely one of my mantras. And I won't lie to you, like the Sabrina Carpenter stunt, like that is not an original idea. Like I've not come up with that myself. I've learned from people that have done that before us. And I think for us, it's not just about spending less, it's about leveraging creativity. We do know that we're not going to be able to outspend Red Bull, not yet at least. So we are going to have to outcreate them. But I also really like the challenge that we can give to the team and do something that is good enough and entertaining enough and interesting enough that it generates coverage organically. And then it forces you to do something that is more creative than your competitor set, that is out of the ordinary. And yeah, the byproduct is that we save some money, which is great. But actually the objective is setting us apart from all of our competitors. And I think PerfectTed is uniquely positioned to do it because the brand is so strong, and a big part of what I believe has been the brand's success for the entirety of the time that it's been around has been the strength of the brand in terms of its visuals, its tone of voice, its confidence and its personality. And the founders have done a fantastic job of always thinking outside the box and trying to be entertaining and thinking not like what a typical food and beverage brand would do, but what someone else in maybe fashion or entertainment would do, and thinking about that media first mentality. So it's all about leveraging the strengths that the brand has and trying to set us apart. But yeah, it definitely plays a role in what we do. So we recently, as part of our Blueberry launch, we also hosted an event for our community where we created a giant matcha pouch. It was like maybe 4 meters tall, 4 meters wide in Shoreditch. It looked like a Blueberry matcha pouch, and there was a little window with some tassels and a bell, and you rang the bell and then some hands popped out. Esther, our fantastic marketing assistant, dancing with the hands and delivering you a matcha latte. And it was all about like shock and surprise. Again, it cost very little, but generated loads of UGC. So it just encourages the team to think about how do we do something a little bit differently and not just apply spend everywhere.
There's sometimes risk involved with doing things like that, though. I feel like the Sabrina Carpenter stunt, I know that I've worked with brands in agencies where that idea just would never get sign off because they're like, they would be thinking about brand legalities, IP, whatever. So how do you navigate that with PerfectTed? Like you obviously have a lot of free reign to do things a bit outside the box. How do you navigate sort of like the risk of doing something a bit out there?
The truth is it has come back to bite us on some occasions, some of which I can't talk about because it's come back to bite us to that extent. But truthfully, I don't think we've regretted any of the risks that we've taken. And if anything, we think we could be bolder and riskier. And we're fortunate that we're in a position in a stage of our growth where we can take risks and be that disruptive challenger. I'm sure there will come a time when we are a much bigger brand and company where we can't do that. So we want to do it as much as we can now. Seek forgiveness is something that we talk about instead of permission. And really, I think that's going to be really important. And like I say, in setting us apart.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the results speak for themselves. Like the work you guys are doing and the results that you've achieved from doing those more creative, stunt-led and, out of the box thinking is incredible. So I think it's definitely working for you guys.
Thank you. I'm glad that people are seeing it, honestly.
I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about community. We touched on it a little bit earlier, and you guys have created a really loyal community for the brand, and one that sort of goes beyond just the product. How do you keep that momentum going? Is it through UGC or day-to-day community engagement? Like, what are your strategies to really foster that community?
I'm really glad that you've picked up on that, because community is a really important part of what we do. And I think community can be a bit of a funny buzzword and it's hard to define sometimes. But for us, it's about creating a brand that people feel like is theirs, that they feel like they have a part to play in its journey and its success, and they're bought into it. So the way that we do it is we try and bring our community in real life and digitally into the brand as much as possible. So in real life, events is a huge part of what we do. So we do pop-ups with fashion brands, for example. We're regularly running run clubs. We're doing coffee festivals, and we're always inviting our community to those events and making sure that they get VIP access to that. And digitally, we also do a lot in terms of rewarding our community and also asking for their insights. So on the reward side, UGC is huge. So we work with a couple of great partners, one of which is Social Tip. And this is a platform in which consumers are rewarded for posting content about a brand, PerfectTed, for example. So you could go into Tesco, buy a matcha latte, put a photo of that and yourself on TikTok or Instagram, and we and Social Tip will reward you to do that. It's a really nice way of paying back to your community, but obviously also then we're getting that authentic advocacy that is coming from genuine shoppers. So we do things like that. And we also ask them, like I say, for their insights. So we're doing a lot of new product development at the moment. And the first people we ask about new flavors, new formats, new variants is our community. We send surveys, but also I'm hoping soon to invite some of our community in to the office for focus groups where we have like a matcha masterclass session. I think that'll be the next evolution of what we do. And then it's looking at every one of our marketing activations and think, is there a way to bring community into this? So we're launching in Australia in October. Can we reach out to everyone with an Australian address that's ever been to our website and made a purchase and invite them to an event in Australia? Can we send them an influencer parcel instead of sending it to an influencer? So it's thinking about community first. And I'll be honest with you, I think there's a lot more we could do there.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, first of all, I think it's great that you really are thinking about community first and all those different touch points that you can bring the community in. I think it's so important for brands. I think we're seeing it a lot more now. An example that comes to mind is the Refi influencer. Well, it was a community trip rather than influencer trip, and that really sort of set the wheels in motion for a lot of especially the beauty community, where brand trips and things like that are so rife, to think differently about how we're engaging with our audiences. And so I do think that we're going to see a lot more kind of community-led stuff, but it's great that you guys are already sort of straight in there, making sure that you're thinking about community first. What benefits do you think that you have seen from doing those sorts of things and really bringing the community in?
I think for us, a lot of it is driven by the fact that we know our target audience are really off-put by ads. So if we look at the data, we're targeting an 18 to 35-year-old woman primarily. Obviously, we have broader target audience as well, but that's the core. We know that individual is off-put when they see a sponsored partnership ad by a really large influencer or an overtly product-centric ad. So part of it is about the marketing science and saying, okay, well, actually, we're going to get a much greater engagement rate or conversion rate if we invest in multiple pieces of content with our community as opposed to one piece of content with an influencer. So it just performs better from an efficiency perspective, but also it's a lot more fun. And as a small, no, not small, maybe not small anymore, but as a challenger brand, we need to hear from our community about what they like about the brand, how they perceive us, how they think our products taste, how could they improve it? Because we need to constantly iterate to make sure that our products have product market fit and our marketing is resonating. And truthfully, we don't have those enormous budgets to spend on insights. So it serves that purpose as well. And it means that we can do something that's a little bit more effective.
Feels like you're really maximizing on the resources that you do have. You're really just finding ways and strategies to maximize on that and get as much intel as you can using those resources. I think that's amazing. So, I mean, well done. Like, the work you're doing is fab.
I think there are some brands that do a really great job here. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Lucky Sane. I think they do a great job with their pub and with their run clubs and creating a physical home for their community and for that kind of sober or sober curious drinker. I think has been really valuable. And they've had some great community partnerships, like their partnership with Strava, which I look to for inspiration. And one day I would love to have a PerfectTed version of that. Not a pub, but we'll see where we get to.
I can't wait to see it. Yeah. One of the things that I've noticed with PerfectTed's socials is employee generated content. And it's something that, again, we're seeing a bit of a buzzword around EGC and how it's important for brands. And obviously, you know, TikTok, we see a lot of EGC from local shops that are creating their sort of EGC, and it does really well. You guys, it feels like there's this, it's sort of inbuilt into your DNA to have employee generated content. How do you do it? Because we really struggle sometimes to encourage our, you know, people within the team to create content.
You know, I think EGC is incredibly important and it's something that we do very intentionally. It's a hard challenge to get your employees to post about their employer. But we do really try, and it's a big part of our social strategy, because what we found is that it just accelerates our reach. That we could reach millions of people on a monthly basis, again, free of charge through our employees. And it gives a platform to leaders like our founders and like myself to do things like this. So in terms of how do we incentivize them, it's a couple things. I think the first is lead by example. Like, our founders post every single day on LinkedIn, and they are the busiest of anyone. They're in the office until the wee hours of the morning, and they're still getting that post out in the morning. So doing that gives everyone in the team a real example to look at and say, okay, that's what it looks like. It's the kind of thing I'd be talking about. We do incentivize it as well. So we have a bit of a silly competition in the office where we thought it would be funny to give out a novelty check every week to the LinkedIner of the week. So we now do this in an award ceremony. And on a Monday morning, we play some music, and Charlotte, our social media and content lead, walks in with a novelty check that is genuinely bigger than her. Like, it's huge. And we gift it to the LinkedIner of the week. And we do like a handshake from the founders, formal photo, like as if you've won the lottery. And then we give that to the person who's won. And that just creates that prompt and reminder. We also do work with partners like Social Tip. We're running a beta at the moment where we do fund cash rewards for people to post about the brand. And we're doing some kind of internal content training on this is the kind of thing you could post. And as a marketing team, trying to really intentionally capture moments and provide content very quickly. So, for example, if Stephen Bartlett walks into the office, which luckily enough for us, sometimes he does because we share an office with him, we're taking photos of that. We're sending those photos immediately to anyone that he's spoken to because we know that they're going to want to put that on LinkedIn.
Great. I think first of all, it's so fun. Like that, I'm just getting visions of someone walking in with a huge check.
It's very funny.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I feel like it's those little pieces of making it fun that not only encourages people, but also, to me, it sounds like you're fostering community internally as well. Sort of does feel like there's this real link between everything that you're doing, not just from an external perspective, but also internally at PerfectTed.
Definitely. Honestly, I've never experienced a culture like it. Everyone is so incredibly bought in and supportive. And we look at every opportunity as a marketing opportunity. And it might sound cynical, but our office is bright green. There are funny props everywhere. We have these boxes that say break in case of an emergency, and actually just inside is our matcha pouches, and it will say like break in case of a drop of energy. And like these funny things that mean if someone does want to create content in the office, even if you're in the sales or the operations team, quickly take a selfie and you're in like a branded environment.
Yeah, love it. You recently did a 12-hour live stream on TikTok. Wow. First of all, that's wild. What was the prompt behind that? Why did you want to do that? And how are you finding TikTok as a e-commerce platform? TikTok Shop, TikTok Live. Like, how is that going for PerfectTed?
I'm obsessed with TikTok.
Really?
Like, genuinely, I think it's a really fascinating marketing tool. The reason I love it is that it does a bottom of funnel and top of funnel job instantly at the same time. So just to illustrate that, someone will join our TikTok Live. They will probably have not followed the brand before. They may have heard of us, but they're not an existing follower. They join the live. They're very likely to then follow us and join our funnel. They become aware of us in a richer way. They usually leave the live in 20 seconds. And in that time, a really significant proportion of them have made a purchase on our TikTok shop. So you've done top and funnel in literally 20 seconds. TikTok has been a real game changer for us. So you're right, we do lives. Our longest was 12 hours, which was part of our Blueberry launch campaign. We're going to do another 12 hours this month as part of another launch campaign. The rationale behind that is that your reach is just phenomenal when you do a live. And we're really lucky that we've been working with TikTok to really amplify that. So when we did that 12-hour live, we sent a push notification to every TikTok account in the UK to say PerfectTed is live, which really dramatically increased it. So we've got lives. We also do a ton of affiliate content. So we send our products via TikTok Shop to thousands of affiliates a month. They create shoppable content with it. We're creating a lot of TikTok content on a daily basis. And that's really helped to drive our follower growth and our reach. And as part of the Blueberry campaign, we generated 6 million impressions on TikTok alone, which is, again, a similar amount to a substantial out-of-home campaign. So it's really worked. And through the affiliates, that's been a way that we can bring in community as well, because thousands of our community are creating content and then earning a commission on that content. So again, giving back. And it's also just fun. We have a fantastic social and content creator, Charlotte. She's currently doing 100 days of matcha. So I feel guilty that I set her this task. But when I said it, I was like, oh, it'd be fun if you could do 100 days of matcha. Now we're like 53 days in. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry I gave you this task. But every day she makes a new matcha latte on TikTok. And people are now coming back and going, oh my gosh, she's still doing this. And it's really helping.
I love that. I think TikTok, like you said, is such a interesting platform. Like it really did change social. Some people call it entertainment media with TikTok. And I think when they introduced TikTok Shop and TikTok Live and talking about, I think a lot of people in the industry call it the infinite loop with TikTok, where you're getting that top of funnel thing, awareness, but you're also encouraging those conversions through the affiliate scheme with TikTok Shop. And it really sort of closes that loop. One of the things that I talk about a lot is how fragmented the consumer journey is. It's not like it was 10 years ago where you'd see a TV ad and then an out-of-home ad, and then you'd hear it on the radio, and then you'd go on the website. Like that journey just doesn't happen anymore. We're so fragmented in how we're consuming media that I think engaging platforms like TikTok and sort of having a strategy like Live and affiliates, it completely changes the game for brands. And I think, the work you're doing is obviously working for you guys with the results that you're getting.
We've actually seen that 37% of the people that come to our lives don't purchase on TikTok Shop, but purchase somewhere else. So they come in, they see the brand, they have a sticky experience, and then maybe they go into Tesco, or maybe they go to D2C or to Amazon. So it's having that impact off platform as well. And for that core 18 to 35-year-old female, like she's just there. That's where she is. Yeah.
Have you learned anything from activating on TikTok that you sort of would change or do differently? Or what advice would you give to brands, challenger brands that are trying to sort of engage in that platform?
My answer would be to think about the broader marketing mix and think beyond just like the content and how you're marketing yourself in the traditional sense, but also think about the price and the product mix, because that plays a really big role on TikTok. Like you do need to be able to have the right product mix at the right price and discount it in the right way. That does need to have synergy with your other e-commerce channels. So maybe less of a sexy answer, but you do have to get those fundamentals right. And there are some products that are just unfortunately not going to work on TikTok. And we're very fortunate that matcha is very TikTokable. We can have the right formulations. And then the other piece of advice I would give is you've really got to commit to the content game, and you really do want to send as many affiliate samples as you can, because that's how you're going to win. So do make sure that you're posting daily, more if you can, because we're actually quite lucky on TikTok at the moment that the algorithm doesn't punish you for posting multiple pieces of content a day, whereas other platforms like Instagram, it does. So lean into that, which means you've got to dedicate proper resource to it if you're going to do it. We work on TikTok with a phenomenal agency called Go Places, who are fantastic. So I really would recommend speaking to them.
Feels like, and from your bio and, seeing your work on LinkedIn, you've really worked very closely with founder-led businesses. How do you feel that has shaped the way you lead and build marketing campaigns? I imagine having worked really closely with founders has given you a different perspective than maybe other people in marketing who kind of came into a more traditional route. So I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, of course. I think for me, I've been working for founder-led businesses for the last 8 years. So the vast majority of my career, really. And I was always attracted to being in a more entrepreneurial space where I could have a broader scope and think entrepreneurially. And I've loved it. I genuinely think that has really benefited me. There's no one that pushes you like a founder. I think working with some of the phenomenal founders that I've been lucky to work with, they really push you to be ambitious for your career and to be the best version of yourself, because that's what they need from the people in their team. I think working directly with founders has meant that I've been able to learn from individuals that are traditionally seen as more senior than myself at an earlier point in my career. I left Wavemaker when I was 2 years into my career, a media agency that I think you know, and I joined a founder-led business. And I was reporting then into the CEO of that business, who had kind of 40 years experience in marketing at big food and beverage businesses. I was just exposed to problems I wouldn't have been exposed to for years. And one of my current founders, Marissa, who leads marketing brand creative for PerfectTed, she is phenomenal. And one of the things that she does very well is vision and thinking outside of the box. So we talk about doing a blueberry launch campaign, and instead of going and talking to other brands that have done similar things or agencies, she thinks, how can we do this ourselves? I'm pretty sure I can build this structure, spray paint it, brand it, dress it myself, and then we can use that extra money to invest in content creators. And actually we can tell a story about how we've done that in a way that's going to resonate online. And she has just this unyielding belief that we can do it, we'll get it done. I think all of the founders I've worked with are like that, and that really pushes the boundaries of what you think that you're capable of.
So yeah, it's clearly done you a good service in your career to be so close to those people that are really driving the success of the business.
No, definitely. And I think often the founders that I work with, like the business is their baby. They're dedicating their entire time to it. They've made sacrifices for it, often financially as well. So there is that extra scrutiny when it comes to budget and spend. It's not about, can you spend this budget so the next year we get an increase and don't leave anything unspent. It's actually like, why are we investing here? What's the value? Why is that better than this other investment that I need to make in my operations department or my finance department? So I think it just raises the bar in terms of like actually being able to justify things, and then making sure that you're only doing things that are really bar raising.
What are some exciting things that you have coming up with PerfectTed?
Ooh.
I'm going to try some now.
Yeah, please do. You have to let me know what you think. This is our vanilla matcha latte.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's not even I'm not judging for the camera. Like, that is genuinely great. I haven't had the vanilla before.
These are relatively new. We have a strawberry and a vanilla, oat milk based, developed by a fantastic in-house team. And I do love them. This is what I go to in the afternoon when I need a pick me up. But yeah.
So good.
In terms of what's coming up, we have a few exciting launches. I can't tell you all about
I didn't
them,
think you would be able to,
but
but
we are launching a new flavor of our matcha powders
okay.
in October. So watch this space. I think it is going to be huge. It's very on trend.
Okay.
So watch that space.
Exciting.
We're also working on a couple of big marketing campaigns. So coming up, we're going to be focusing on our strawberry flavor, which is actually really interesting because, well, I find interesting, but we have strawberry available in matcha latte cans that are ready to drink, in matcha powders, and in pods. So it's a really nice opportunity to communicate our mission, which is about making matcha accessible and providing it in all of these different formats that fits different occasions for you as a consumer, whether it is like rushing out the door, like I was just now picking up the can, or at home wanting to make a matcha latte in that like ritual moment, or maybe you're working from home and in between meetings, you want to just put a pod in the machine and quickly grab one, or in the office, you said you had a pod machine.
We do.
So that I'm excited about because we're going to be able to really communicate the mission. So there's a few things, and then
exciting.
next year, hopefully some big partnerships and a few interesting things coming for our energy drink range as well.
Amazing. I want to touch on something you just mentioned. Obviously we can't talk about the product that's launching in October, but you said it was trending.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about, you obviously have your finger on the pulse when it comes to emerging trends and things that are happening in the food and beverage space. What do you look for inspiration, to find out where those trends are coming from? Like, how are you searching for that information that informs what you guys are doing at PerfectTed?
You know what? I think there's a few things that you need to do. I think firstly, it's important to surround yourself with a team that really have their finger on their pulse. It's quite challenging in marketing when you're working across a really broad set of areas to be a real expert in the sense of depth in certain things. So, for example, within our marketing team, I manage content and design, brand and marketing, and e-commerce and digital marketing. So that's quite broad, which means that actually I need my expert in culture because I will keep on top of it and I have my finger on the pulse, but I'm not going to be in the Instagram app, in the TikTok algorithms in the way that I need to be. So have your team. I have a fantastic team who really helped me there. You need to get your resources right as well. It's podcasts, it's email newsletters, it's the people that you follow on Instagram. Make sure that your feed is showing you those current trends. And then I think as well, listening to your consumers. I think really it's about how you're surrounding yourself with everyone else. And then in terms of inspiration, for us, we've been quite intentional in looking outside of the food and beverage sector for inspiration. And that is by no means to discredit anyone in food and drink. I'm obsessed with the food and beverage sector. That's what I'm really passionate about. That's what gets me out of bed. But I think in terms of setting ourselves apart as a brand and really leveraging creative, we've got to look to entertainment, fashion, and media for inspiration.
Yeah.
I'm looking at brands like Rode and thinking, how do we show up in the way that Hailey Bieber is showing up? And that's a lot of what we do at the moment. And there are other brands in food and beverage that have done a really good job there.
Yeah, I think it's so important to look outside of the industry that you're existing in for inspo, because marketing is everywhere, right? And it's not just in one space. And actually, if you can find a tactic or a strategy that has performed really well, just because it's not in your industry doesn't mean that you can't then think about how you could apply it to your industry. And that definitely reaps results. So I think, yeah, it's great to look outside of what the rest of your industry is doing, for sure.
Definitely. And I think you need to move quickly. One of our best performing TikTok posts was when, it has nothing to do with the brand, when ChatGPT went down. There was a day like a couple of months ago when it wasn't working. And our social media and content exec Charlotte, she just posted a video of herself at her desk that said, ChatGPT is down. I might as well go home or make a matcha. And that literally generated millions of views. Wow. And it was just because she literally physically experienced something, anticipated that was going to become a trend, quite quickly got it out on social. So you've got to have your finger on your pulse, but you've also got to be reactive. And I'm actually building into her time and the team's time reactionary like meeting blocks. And that might sound counterintuitive, but what I found is if you get someone focused on a to-do list, they're going to fill that time with that to-do list and they're going to run out of time to do things reactionary. Whereas if you block out time in their diary and say, no, in this 2-hour block on a Wednesday, I want you to do something that you've planned immediately at the beginning of that meeting. So go on TikTok, think about what's trending, and then do something right then and there. And I think that's going to really have a big impact as well.
I think also it will keep front of mind to always be thinking about where the opportunities are, like having that block in your diary. You know it's coming. Even if you spot something not in that time, you know that it's front of mind. You should be thinking about things in that way. So.
Exactly. It keeps everyone, including myself, accountable for it. And also it helps because she can say, actually, you've put too much on my plate, then I'm going to have to sacrifice that reactionary hour. And I go, okay, I've made a mistake there. Let me rethink this.
Amazing. Forgot to mention that you were featured in the Times radio this weekend. And I just wanted to touch on that. How was that experience? I imagine is it sort of one of your first radio opportunities?
It was really cool. As like a marketing geek, I was really in my element. There's a couple things that really worked in harmony there. We're working on a campaign at the moment, PerfectTed by PerfectTed. So essentially what we're doing is sponsoring weddings across the country. If you're getting married, we will gift you hundreds of energy drinks and matcha lattes, because what more do you need on your wedding day than energy, and positive energy in particular? So we're working on this campaign, and we're working to get that covered in press. So we're briefing out a lot of stories around Marissa and Levi, our co-founders' wedding, and how that was really unique and obviously very branded. There's obviously also a huge rise in demand of matcha and some concerns around a matcha shortage, which is what a lot of national publications were talking about. So we were approached about an article on the rise in demand for matcha, and also an article around our wedding campaign, and reached out to about the Times Radio Breakfast Show. So Saturday morning, first thing, I was at Times Radio with my founders and our fantastic brand manager, Romy. And we were there. Levi was interviewed by two of the hosts about matcha. And I couldn't believe it, but one of the hosts said he didn't like our matcha latte and said it tasted like an off milkshake. I think he was just being a troll.
Yeah,
and
a little bit.
It's fine. It's fine. It got people talking. But we had that, and then we had the two pieces of coverage go out. One was in that national print paper, both were online. So it was really cool actually to see that come to life. And I hope it's the start of much more national coverage, because matcha and the shift towards matcha and away from coffee is a huge cultural shift. And I think it's something that we should be talking about as a nation a lot more.
I love it. Well, we're coming to the end of our chat, and I'm really sad about it. I feel like it's been so nice to hear a bit more about your experience and obviously your tips and tricks. But we do have two quick fire questions.
Okay, I'm nervous now.
Don't be nervous. The first one is your favorite book that you've read, or a podcast that you would recommend to others. Doesn't have to be focused on marketing, you know.
I'll give you a non-marketing one. One of the books I found most valuable is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Mm-hmm. Have you read it?
Yes, I have. It's so good.
I love it. And the big takeaway I had was everyone is going to have to solve problems in their career, because everyone has to work. So think very consciously about what are the problems that excite you the most, and frame your career around that. And I've been really clear in my career. I've done a lot of reflection. And I think over the last few years, I've come to the conclusion that what I want to do is grow challenger food and beverage brands. And the problems that excite me the most are, how do you grow in revenue and brand awareness terms a food and beverage brand? So that's really what I focused my career on. And in thinking about that overlap in expertise that I can develop and passions has really led me to do something that I really genuinely enjoy.
I love that. It's a book that isn't necessarily about marketing, but has really shaped your experience
100%.
in the space. And the next one is the best piece of advice you've received.
Do you know what? I received some really good advice this week, actually, from our operations manager, Andre, who I mentioned. He was in our Sabrina Carpenter stunt. Yes. We call him the wise one at work, because you just ask him on the spot. He has fantastic advice. And this week, when he was asked to give advice to a new starter at our business, he said, don't wait to be asked to do something. And I think if I reflect on my career, and particularly the work that I've done with founders, what has really helped me is anticipating needs. For example, looking at the problems that the founders I'm working with are struggling with, and whether they've asked me or not, try and come up with a couple of solutions, or try and make their their lives a little bit easier and anticipate those needs. And that's what positions you as a partner, as opposed to just someone that is in like more of a function in which you would delegate work to. So I'm going to steal his advice. I think that has really helped me.
And thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been such a treat to chat to you and hear about your journey and hear about all your tips and tricks. And obviously been such a treat to try the vanilla matcha. So thank you. I really appreciate you coming on.
No, it's great fun. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's such a privilege.